Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever. There's no denying the worrying times we're in. For those of you who are students of history, comparisons with 1914 are not outlandish, or the destruction of the Weimar Republic and the rise of Nazism with communism already established in Russia. We hear, as Scripture says, of wars and rumours of wars. Having visited, as you know, many war zones, including being in Ukraine last year, one can't help feeling that, at least in the West, we've led very privileged lives, certainly my entire life, unlike that of so many in other parts of the world, and it needs to be said, the lives of our parents and our grandparents, indeed the common experience of most humans throughout history. I read a beautiful passage from our friend G.K. Chesterton the other day, which, as he so often does, struck me as both prophetic and strangely comforting in the etymological sense of the word, which I remind you of regularly, being strengthened greatly. One day, when I retire the Nuggets, at least I can say that everyone knew what comfort actually meant. Chesterton wrote, probably in the early years of the 20th century, so how prophetic indeed, "The great march of mental destruction will go on. Everything will be denied. Everything will become a creed. But then those words of comfort, we shall be of those who have seen and yet have believed." Part of the anxiety and fear which so many are experiencing is because of what Chesterton describes. Even if all around us, especially in other parts of the world, things seem to be falling apart, if our foundations were solid, we would feel some security. It's precisely because of what Chesterton describes, the mental destruction, the denial, that we feel ourselves to be standing on quicksand. Yet, we are those who have seen and yet have believed. Jesus told Thomas that those who had not seen yet believed were blessed. We, in the midst of this turmoil through faith, have seen and believed. There's a word, I think, that epitomizes what is needed, a quality we should exhibit and should most certainly pray for. That word is serenity. To be serene is not to sail through life without a care in the world, or to deny reality. It means, as we know, among other things, to be untroubled, coming from a root in a description of weather, being calm and unclouded. Jesus told his disciples, after he had warned them many times of the persecution and struggles they'd encounter, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me." We confess our hearts are troubled. We're more like Martha than Mary most of the time. For this we need the grace of serenity, which is in fact what Paul described as the peace of God, which is beyond all understanding. Peace is not the absence of war, and the peace of God, which is beyond all understanding, is not the elimination of distress, pain, and difficult conditions. It is, however, the ability to not let our hearts be troubled, to be serene, because we are those who have seen and yet have believed. Brethren, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, like a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.